When you see the whole world shaking and you feel your heart is breaking, take my hand, no hesitating. When you're just so tired of trying, all alone you feel like hiding. Together we'll keep fighting. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Don't stop now. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna mountains too high we can climb it. Feelings will take in the moment. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Can you see the sun is shining like a new hope? Feel it rising, coming over the horizon. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Don't stop now. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna mountains too high we can climb it. Feelings will take in the moment. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. There's no stopping.
Good evening. It's November 5th. The clock in the back shows 6:30, but by the time I bring this live, it will be 7 o'clock. If you've been watching me for the last two podcasts, I've been wearing a eye patch. My vision is getting better, knock on wood. Not 100%, it's getting better. I still have to have an MRI to get it checked out 100%, but it's getting better. Thank God for that. So I am Chris Gajula. I'm associate broker for EXP Realty, and this is my podcast, Real Estate with Mr. G. I'm planning on some big changes for 2023, and I will know more by, let's say, the end of November. Well, let's say the next 2 weeks, but I will be expanding my horizons. Okay? So that's something I'm just going to put out there. It's like when people say, well, you're going to be running for president in 2024, and they kind of hint at it. They're not really giving you the 100%, but they may. And I'm not running for president, but I'm going to be making some changes for 2023. You notice I already have these lights up. I've had these lights all year round, and then I don't usually put on the multicolor ones here until we get closer to the holidays. But they're very pretty. They're festive. Oh, I got to put on my. Oh, that's not going on right now. I got to plug this in. Hold on, everybody. Hold on. Don't go anywhere. I want everything to be perfect. Okay. This is my quiet please recording in progress sign. I forgot to light it up. Look, we had some issues in the CSG studios. We had an electrical problem. We got it corrected, and got to do some changes. going about. Uh, but we had to move a book stand, and then it fell apart, and then I got a lot of books on the floor, and that's something I'm be working on for the next couple of days. So that's what's going on here. And of course, this week, the Federal Reserve met again, and they raised the federal funds rate 0.75 points, quarter of a point. And again, it does not directly affect mortgage rates, but it's like a domino effect. So right now, we already have mortgage rates over 7%. Probably now by next week, they'll be closer to 8%. Okay, and there's a lot of things that we have to talk about, and things to be truthful about. Not always sugarcoat everything as realtors and real estate people. We always try to look on the positive side of everything, but we're going to have some issues. It's going to be a tough ending quarter of 2022 and going into 2023 until we see some rates going down. And there are some mortgage companies that are doing some nice things. They're giving an introductory rate where I think the first year will be a little bit lower, and then they'll bring it up to the present rate. So one thing I have to say about capitalism, the positive thing about capitalism is that they will work so that the wheels of commerce continues to turn. So a lot of buyers, are getting frightened by these higher interest rates, and a lot of them are getting knocked out of the price range that they want. Okay, so this house that they've been looking at, that's $250,000. As these rates go up, they may no longer be eligible for that house. So, sites are saying, well, put what I say, sites, different websites are saying, different realtors are saying, different loan officers are saying to just, put your sites down lower, okay, of what you want in your next house, or try different neighborhoods. It's not always such an easy thing to do, all right? And people who are saying, well, I have time to wait. We'll see what happens. Maybe next year, as the economy slows down, they'll start bringing down the rates. It's possible. Now, what's offshooting this, and before I get into the meat of the matter, what's offshooting this is that home prices are beginning to level off. Okay? They're still high, but they're not going crazy, and we don't have a situation where we have multiple bids. And we're going to talk more about that in our PDF that we show. Okay, so we know that I talked about that the mortgage rates have gone up. The Federal Reserve raised the lending rate. See, what the biggest fear, before I show you the PDF, see, people who are selling their houses, they have to buy another house to move in, right? Now, a lot of sellers, because of the last 2 years where home prices have gone up quite significantly, like 19-20%, a lot of them have a lot of equity in the house. So when they sell that house, they have a big chunk of money to put down on the next one and hopefully bring down their monthly mortgage payment, even though mortgage rates are high. So you got this juggling act here to work out. And that's what has to be done. And if people just bought a house and they only been living there 5 years, they really may not have as much equity in the house than someone, let's say, who has been living there 10 years, okay? Because at the very beginning of your mortgage, those payments are going to interest payments, and you're not really paying down your principal, all right? So it's a case-by-case scenario. So before we go into that, let me show you my nice introduction. I'm getting into the meat of the matter. I'm supposed to do like a little intro, and I'm getting right to the heart of the matter, but let's do my little intro. Okay. I really like that video, and that's going to help me with the move that I want to do for the end of the year, the beginning of next. Sort of a nationwide. That's what I'm going to put out there. Reaching nationwide. Okay. And that video, I think, it shows America. And that's who I'm reaching out to. Okay. It does sound like I'm running for office, doesn't it? Okay. So let's go to our PDF, and let's get that up here. Let me show it on my stream. And then I'm going to make that nice little bubble of myself. And I could get rid of my caption. Okay. We're going to talk about 310 trends that are good news for today's home buyers. So going back to what I was saying before, you always have to remember when people are selling their house, they, unless they're going to an apartment, if they're, maybe they're seniors and they're going into an apartment complex, they don't want to worry about the uptake of a house, and they go into the apartment complex. But a lot of times, even with seniors, they will go into senior developments. Some are 55 and higher, some are 65 and higher. And these developments are catered to the older generation. And they'll have different amenities for them. But even in that situation, those condo associations, and if they offer these special amenities, they're expensive. So in order to sell that house and go into the new condo, right, which may be more expensive with what they're offering, they have to have a lot of equity in their house, unless they have lots of money saved up in the bank. That's another thing. That's why I always say it's a case-by-case scenario. But I see with reports on TV, on the media, and the headlines I read on the different news sites that I have, they are cautious, and they're concerned about putting their house on the market when they really wanted to. And some did, and they began taking it off because mortgage rates kept on going up. Because, again, these people who are selling have to buy a house or another dwelling, if they're not renting, right, to live in. And on that side, too, as those mortgage rates go up, it may be knocking them out of the price range for that nice retirement condo association. So it's a really case-by-case situation. And I don't think it's going to smooth out. To be honest with you, we're always supposed to stay positive. It's really not going to be smoothed out until, we begin seeing these mortgage rates go down. the Federal Reserve keeps on pumping up their rate, and the economy's still doing good. All right. So they want to put the reins on that. So maybe in the second or third quarter of 2023, we may see rates go down. We'll see. Okay. It's hard to determine. But in the meantime, even with the rates going up, there are some advantages for the home buyer. Okay, where's my, oops. Did I, where am I? Let me go back to, I'm having a little difficulty right now. Yeah, this should be over here. It's over here. Yeah, okay. All right. So let's scroll down. Okay. So while higher mortgage rates are creating affordability challenges for home buyers this year, there is some good news for those people still looking to buy a home. All right. As the market has cooled this year, some of the intensity buyers faced during the peak frenzy of the pandemic has cooled too. Here are a few trends that may benefit you when you go to buy a home today. So there are more homes coming on the market right now. And also what's happening, because there are less buyers, more homes are staying on the market. They're not being sold that quickly. So that, in a way, increases inventory. So during the pandemic, housing supply hit a record low. At the same time, buyer demand skyrocketed. The combination made it difficult to find a home because there just weren't enough to meet buyer demand. According to a calculated risk, the supply of homes for sale increased by 39.5% for the week ending October 28th to the same week last year. Even though it's still a seller's market, supply is still lower than normal levels. You have more to choose from in your home search. That makes finding your dream home a bit less difficult. All right. And because of the higher mortgage rates, the bidding wars have slowed down, have eased. All right. Because don't forget, now that the rates are high, in that pool of potential buyers, there's going to be a segment of it, or a subset, if you will, of buyers who just entered the market because rates were great. The same thing, we're coming to the end of the year. We're going to see a lot of sales on cars. And people say, well, my car is great, but if I could get a great deal on a car, I'll buy one. I don't need one. I don't have to. But if it's fantastic, I'll do it. All right. The same thing with the home buyers. With the mortgage rates being low, they said it's a great time to buy. I don't really need a new home, but if I could get a great deal, I'll buy it. But because of the higher mortgage rates, they have dropped out. Okay. This September, the average was 2.5 offers per sale. In contrast, last September, the average was 3.7 per sale. Okay. And what's also positive, a third trend for home buying, because of the less competition, you have more of negotiation power. Okay? When you have less competition, you also have more negotiating power as a buyer. Over the last 2 years, more buyers were willing to skip important steps in the home buying process, like the appraisal and inspection, to try to win a bidding war. But the latest data from the National Association of Realtors showed that the percentages of buyers waiving those contingencies are going down. Okay? Now, the only way you could waive an appraisal if you're paying cash on the house. Some people still do an appraisal because they want to make sure that they're not paying too much for a property. But when you're getting a mortgage, you must get an inspection. You can't waive that, but you can waive the home inspection. That is not mandatory for the bank. All right, that's only for your benefit to know if there's anything big time wrong with the house. And what happened the last 2 years, either the buyers forego the home inspection and took the house as it is, or they just did the home inspection for informational purposes. And then they, if the house was decent and there's some minor things that had to be fixed, but they could take care of it, they would just do it. If the house was really horrific, then they would walk away from the purchase. So going down to this paragraph, a survey from Realtor.com confirms most sellers are accepting offers that include contingencies today. According to that report, 95% of the sellers said buyers requested a home inspection, and 67% negotiated with the buyers on repairs as a result of those inspection findings. Okay, so things are definitely changing. We have a shift in the buying process that's going on now. So those are some positive things for buyers. I think the best thing is the less bidding wars, and also that you could get some things repaired on your house before you purchase. Okay? So let's stop sharing and bring this, and here I am in a nice big bubble again. And what we're going to do now, I'm going to show a video on why what's going on now is not the same situation of problems we had in 2008 with the housing bubble. Here's why it's not a housing bubble. Okay, so that's the reasons why it's not a housing bubble. The most important thing is that the way the banks are writing mortgages now, and they're writing mortgages where they're making sure that you could truly afford it, especially when it comes to adjustable rate mortgages. And by the way, an adjustable rate mortgage is not a bad idea right now, but you have to do it very smartly. And so with adjustable rate mortgage, you go through it quickly. It'll start out at a teaser rate. So we said like 7% now. It might come out at 4% at the beginning, and it creeps up, all right? And there might be a 7-year gap where it reaches highest point. So maybe the highest point might be 10% or 11%. But maybe for the first 5 years, you're paying below the going rate, all right? So that works well if you are planning to stay in this house. Maybe this is your starter house, and in about 5 years, when perhaps your family's growing bigger, you need a bigger house, so you sell it before the rates go up. So it's just what rate mortgage, you have to work with it very carefully. But what happened back in prior to 2008, let's say again we'll go from 4 to 10%, right? So the banks qualified you at the 4% to say, oh yeah, you could afford this mortgage, but they didn't check to see if you could afford it when it went to the 10%. Okay, they were hoping by the time it went to the 10%, you would get an increase in pay, but that always didn't happen. Okay, so when the rates went up, the home buyer could no longer afford the home. What banks do now, they, say it's a adjustable rate mortgage for 4 to 10%. They will approve you. They'll make sure at this point in time you could pay the 10%. Okay, and so that's a lot better, and that's what we're avoiding this year than it was back in 2008. Now, as I'm learning, more about social media, I know I'm supposed to say, please subscribe to my network. I should have said that at the very beginning. I'm reading ways to get more subscribers. Most people probably will watch this on YouTube rather than my blog. Maybe they will watch on my blog. But please, I think it's right below. Click subscribe, and I would really appreciate that if you would do that. Okay? And do not forget, on my blog site, I have the things to consider when buying a home, the full edition, and things to consider when selling your home, also the full edition. And these come out quarterly, so in December, I will have the winter one. And all you have to do is go to, and let me get it up here, to realestateWithMrG.blog, resource materials, and they are there for you to download for free. Okay. So let me get rid of my graphics. And let me just actually get rid of, well, anyway, I'm hearing from my producer, William Burgess, that we have an old-time vaudeville dancer in the audience. Is that true?
Chris, great news. In our audience, we have one of the original female dancers from vaudeville. Vaudeville, a type of entertainment popular chiefly in the US in the early 20th century, featuring a mixture of specialty acts such as burlesque comedy and song and dance. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Zelda Kolonowski.
Well, thank you, Zelda Colonoscopy, for stopping by. I really appreciate that. Okay. We're getting into truly now the holiday season. Well, first I want to say, please make sure you go out to vote. I'm not pushing any political party. All I'm saying that it's important to vote. Okay, it makes a difference. So if you haven't voted already, please go out on Tuesday and vote for the candidate who you believe will be best for your area, for your state, for your city, in your Congress, all right, in your Senate. Just go out to vote. And so that's about it for today's show. I hope it was helpful. And I'll see you next Saturday. And I have to get my stuff back up here. Hold on. And I think I did everything I wanted to do. All right. And remember to be kind to each other. And especially during this voting week. That's so important. Please be kind to each other. Whoever you vote for, whoever your friends vote for. We need to get along. Whatever the outcome Tuesday, we need to get along, okay? So be kind to each other, all right? And remember, the greatest power we have is to love, and the greatest gift, each other. I'll see you next week.